Okay, so you're thinking about becoming a genealogist.
That's fantastic.
We've got a lot of great resources here to help prep you for an interview.
We've got career guides, we've got interview guides, we even have some AI insights from RoleCatcher.
Yeah, think of this deep dive as a way to practice for your interview and figure out how to really show off your skills and your passion to possible employers.
It's like getting a sneak peek behind the curtain of genealogy careers. We're going to break down what employers are really looking for and give you the tools to stand out as a candidate.
We'll be looking at those common interview questions, giving you tips on how to answer them, and even brainstorming some of those follow-up questions that might come up.
And to make things even better, we're going to be using RoleCatcher's career guide throughout this to highlight those key skills and industry trends and different career stages so you can see where this path might take you.
Plus, we'll show you how RoleCatcher's AI can really help you prep for your interview.
Imagine getting feedback tailored to specific jobs.
Right? You can practice your answers and get advice on how to tailor those answers to different roles.
It's like having a secret weapon for your interview. But first, let's get back to the basics. What exactly does a genealogist do beyond just making family trees?
Yeah, from what I've seen, genealogists are like history detectives.
Right.
They take public records like birth certificates or marriage licenses, even land deeds, and they put all those pieces together to tell a story about the past.
They're like masters of information. They use a mix of historical documents, interviews, and even genetic analysis to track family lines and solve mysteries. You could end up working with individuals, families, or even organizations, and you get to bring history to life.
So let's picture the work environment now.
Yeah.
You could be spending your days in libraries or historical societies, or even working from home.
Yeah, technology is changing the field, giving us access to online databases and ways to work together online. But let's be real. It's not all exciting discoveries. Genealogists sometimes work long hours carefully going through documents, and it can be emotionally challenging when you're dealing with sensitive family histories.
So it's important to be prepared for all of that. But the industry itself seems to be doing pretty well right now. I mean, more and more people want to know about their family's history.
Absolutely. The demand for skilled genealogists is growing really fast. Actually, it's expected to grow faster than a lot of other jobs.
Wow.
Online genealogy services and DNA tests becoming more affordable are definitely driving that interest.
So now that we have a basic understanding, are you ready to start prepping for your interview?
Let's do it.
We've got some common questions that pop up, and we're going to give you the tools and strategies to answer them like a pro.
And remember, authenticity is key. We'll
Right.
give you the guidance, but in the end, you want your answers to reflect your own unique experiences and passions.
Okay, let's start with a question that often trips people up. What inspired you to pursue a career in genealogy? What are interviewers really trying to figure out with this one?
They're looking for your why,
Yeah.
that driving force behind your interest in genealogy. Is it a love for history, a personal connection to your own family's story, or maybe a fascination with the puzzle-solving aspect of it all?
Oh.
This is your chance to let your personality come through.
So think about what makes your story unique.
Right.
Did you find a fascinating family secret when you were a kid, or were you always drawn to those old photo albums at family gatherings? Try to connect those personal experiences to your professional goals.
For example, you could say, history always fascinated me, but it wasn't until I started exploring my own family tree that genealogy really came alive. Uncovering my ancestors' stories made history real, and I knew I wanted to help others experience that same connection.
I like that. It's personal, it's engaging, and it shows real passion. They might follow up with something like, what aspects of genealogy do you find most rewarding? Or what are your long-term goals in this field? Be ready to elaborate on your answers and show that you've thought about your future in this profession.
And don't be afraid to mention specific areas of genealogy that interest you. Maybe you're drawn to genetic genealogy historical research or a particular time period or region. Highlighting your niche can make you a more memorable candidate.
Okay, question number 2. What genealogy software are you familiar with? This one seems pretty straightforward, but it's important to answer strategically.
Definitely. Don't just list off a bunch of programs. Instead, focus on the software you're most skilled with and connect it to your experience. You could say something like, I'm most comfortable using Family Tree Maker and Ancestry Comportment. I've used them for several years to build and manage family trees, conduct research, and analyze DNA results. I even customize Family Tree Maker to improve my workflow.
So you're not just naming programs, you're showing your expertise and your comfort with technology. And if you've taken the time to really learn a specific program, Don't be afraid to show off that knowledge. It shows you're dedicated to learning, which is valuable in any field.
For sure. Be prepared for follow-up questions like, what do you like most about this software? Or have you ever encountered challenges using this software and how did you overcome them? These questions let you show off your problem-solving skills and how adaptable you are to different technologies.
All right, question number 3. How do you approach researching a family history? Now, this is your chance to really take them behind the scenes of your detective work and show off your process and passion.
Think about how you'd guide someone through your research. Do you start by gathering information from the client? Do you dive into online databases first? Or do you go straight to the historical records? Walk them through your typical steps.
Don't be afraid to get specific. Mention the types of records you use, the research techniques you employ, and the resources you rely on. For example, you could say, my research begins with a detailed client interview to understand their goals and any existing family information. Then, I typically start by searching online databases like Ancestry.com and Family Search to find potential leads and build a preliminary family tree.
And from there, you can talk about analyzing historical records like census data, birth certificates, and land deeds. Really highlight how thorough and expert you are.
Exactly. And if you use DNA testing or consult with experts in specific historical periods or regions, definitely mention those details too. It shows that you take a comprehensive approach to your research.
A common follow-up question to this one is, can you share an example of a challenging research problem you faced and how you solved it? It's a classic question to see how you solve problems and how resilient you are. So have a specific example ready to go.
Right. Pick a situation that shows off your analytical thinking, your resourcefulness, and your ability to overcome obstacles. And don't forget to emphasize what you learned from the experience. It shows growth and a willingness to learn from your mistakes.
For example, you could talk about a time when you hit a dead end in your research, like not being able to find a key ancestor's birth record. Explain how you reevaluated your strategy, explored other sources, maybe even consulted with other genealogists, and finally found that missing information.
That's a great example. It shows that you're not afraid of challenges and you have the skills to find solutions.
Exactly.
Speaking of challenges, let's move on to a related question. What challenges have you faced in your genealogy research, and how did you overcome them? This one might sound similar, but it has a slightly different focus.
That's right. This question goes beyond just problem solving. It's about gauging your understanding of the inherent difficulties in genealogical research. Think about those common roadblocks you've run into: incomplete or conflicting records, missing documents, language barriers, cultural differences, and naming conventions.
So choose an example that showcases your ability to think critically, to be resourceful, and to persevere even when things get tough. And remember, it's okay to be honest about the challenges you've encountered.
Right.
It shows self-awareness and a willingness to learn from your experiences.
For instance, you could say, one of the biggest challenges I've faced is dealing with conflicting information from different sources. In one case, 2 census records listed different birthplaces for the same individual. To resolve this, I analyzed the surrounding family data, consulted historical maps, and ultimately determined that one record was likely a transcription error.
That's perfect. You identified the challenge, explained your approach, and highlighted the solution.
Right.
They might follow up with, what did you learn from this experience?
Yeah.
And you could say something like, this taught me how important it is to carefully scrutinize every piece of information and to cross-reference multiple sources to ensure accuracy.
It shows that you're committed to constantly improving.
Okay, now let's move on to a question that allows you to define the core qualities of a successful genealogist. What do you consider to be the most important qualities for a genealogist to possess?
This might seem like an easy question,
Right.
but it's a chance to really impress. Don't just give a generic list of skills. Think about what really sets great genealogists apart. And make your answer personal by connecting those qualities to your own strengths and experiences.
Okay.
The RoleCatcher Career Guide tells us that some of the key skills for a genealogist are meticulous attention to detail, strong analytical and research skills, persistence, resourcefulness, a passion for history, excellent communication skills, and the ability to handle sensitive information discreetly.
So you can say something like, I believe the most important qualities are relentless curiosity, a love of problem solving, and a deep respect for the stories we uncover. I'm naturally inquisitive. I thrive on tackling complex research challenges, and I understand the importance of handling sensitive family information with empathy and professionalism.
That's excellent. It highlights your personal traits while showing that you understand the profession's core values. Now let's move on to a question about staying current. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and developments in genealogy? This is about showing your dedication to continuous learning.
Right. The field of genealogy is constantly changing, with new technologies, research methods, and resources popping up all the time. So how do you keep yourself informed? Do you attend conferences or webinars, read industry publications, follow genealogy blogs, or participate in online genealogy communities?
Be specific and give examples.
Yeah.
You could say, I'm a member of the Association of Professional Genealogists and regularly attend their conferences and webinars to learn about the latest research techniques and technologies. I also subscribe to several genealogy journals, including the American Genealogist and National Genealogical Society Quarterly, to stay on top of current scholarship and best practices.
And don't forget about those online genealogy forums.
Right.
Mentioning that you're active in those communities shows you're engaged and willing to learn from others in the field.
They might follow up with, can you tell me about a recent development in genealogy that you're particularly excited about? This is your chance to show your enthusiasm and your eagerness to learn new things.
Okay, let's move on to a question that really stresses accuracy. How do you ensure the accuracy of the information you uncover in your research? This is so important in genealogy, so getting this answer right is crucial.
The key here is to show your meticulous approach and your understanding of reliable sources. Explain how you verify information, cross-reference data, and resolve any discrepancies.
So you could say, I always aim for the highest level of accuracy in my research. I start by carefully evaluating the reliability of each source, considering its origin, author, and potential biases. Then I cross-reference information from multiple sources, looking for corroborating evidence or any red flags.
That's a great start. You can continue by mentioning that you investigate further if there's conflicting information, consulting experts, or exploring other sources to resolve the issue.
And emphasizing that you thoroughly document your research, citing your sources and explaining your reasoning, shows your dedication to accuracy and careful record-keeping.
Now let's tackle a question that deals with the sensitive side of genealogy. How do you handle sensitive or difficult information that you uncover in your research? This question assesses your professionalism, your discretion, and your ability to handle potentially emotional situations with empathy.
Right. Genealogical research often reveals unexpected or uncomfortable truths about the past. Things like adoptions, affairs, family feuds, even crimes. It's crucial to handle this information with sensitivity and respect for everyone involved.
Think about how you'd handle a situation where you find something sensitive or potentially upsetting to a client. What are your ethical responsibilities as a genealogist?
You could say, I understand that genealogical research can sometimes uncover sensitive or difficult information. If I come across such information, I always approach it with caution and discretion. I first consult with the client to see how comfortable they are with exploring potentially sensitive topics. Then I present the information factually and objectively, avoiding any speculation or judgment.
And it's really important to mention that you're prepared to offer resources and support if the client needs help processing or understanding the information.
Right.
It shows that you're committed to handling delicate situations with empathy and professionalism.
They might follow up with, can you give me a specific example of a time you had to deal with sensitive information and how you handled it? Be ready to share a story that demonstrates your discretion and how you communicate effectively with clients.
Okay, let's move on to a question that focuses on your client management skills. How do you approach working with clients who have specific research needs or goals? It's all about tailoring your research to each individual client.
Right. Genealogy clients come from all walks of life, and they have different reasons for exploring their family history.
Exactly.
Some might want to build a complete family tree, while others are focused on tracing a specific lineage or solving a family mystery.
Adaptability is key.
Yeah.
You could say something like, my first step is always to have a thorough consultation with the client to understand their research goals, their current knowledge of their family history, and their budget and time constraints. Then I develop a customized research plan outlining my methodology, the resources I'll use, and a realistic time frame.
Emphasize that you keep in touch with the client regularly, giving them updates, discussing any challenges or discoveries, and getting their input throughout the process. It shows you're collaborative and communicative.
Excellent. Now let's tackle our last question for this section. How do you handle conflicting information or incomplete records in your research? This is a common challenge, and it tests your analytical skills and resourcefulness.
Right. Conflicting information can come from different places. Inaccurate census data, family stories that don't match the official records, even DNA results that challenge what we thought we knew.
And incomplete records are common too, especially when you're dealing with older time periods where record keeping wasn't as thorough.
So how do you handle these situations? Explain how you evaluate conflicting information, search for missing records, and use your analytical skills to figure out the most likely scenario.
Right.
You could say conflicting information and incomplete records are just part of genealogical research, but I see them as opportunities to dig deeper and use my analytical skills to solve the puzzle. When I come across conflicting information, I carefully evaluate each source, looking at its origin, reliability, and potential biases.
Then mention that you search for supporting evidence or patterns that might explain the difference, and that you consult with experts in specific historical periods or regions if necessary.
And if records are incomplete, highlight that you're willing to explore other sources like land deeds, probate records, or even church registers to fill in the gaps.
That's a fantastic response.
Okay.
It shows you're not afraid of challenges and you have the skills and dedication to find solutions. So we've covered 7 common interview questions, and you've got strategies to craft great answers.
Right.
But before we move on to the next level of interview prep, where we'll see how RoleCatcher's AI can really boost your chances, let's take a short break.
Okay.
We'll be back soon with more expert tips and advice to help you ace that interview. And we're back. We just went through 7 common interview questions for those of you hoping to become genealogists. Now let's take your interview prep to the next level using the power of RoleCatcher's AI.
This is where things get really interesting. RoleCatcher's AI isn't just giving you general feedback, it actually helps you tailor your answers to specific jobs.
Yeah.
Let's say you're applying for a job that really focuses on genetic genealogy. RoleCatcher can help you highlight those specific skills and experiences.
It's like having a personal interview strategist just for you. RoleCatcher's AI looks at the language in the job description, finds those keywords and skills that the employer really wants, and then it gives you feedback and suggestions on how to make your answers really stand out to that specific employer.
It's like having a secret decoder for job descriptions.
Right.
You go into the interview knowing exactly what to emphasize and how to present your skills in a way that perfectly matches what they're looking for. Talk about a confidence boost.
Absolutely. It can be a game changer. The AI doesn't just suggest keywords. It helps you fine-tune your language structure, your answers better, and even anticipate those follow-up questions that might come up. It's like having an interview coach right there with you, guiding you through every step.
So you're not just prepared, you're going in with a solid strategy.
Exactly.
You're confident, you're articulate, you're ready to impress. But RoleCatcher's AI isn't just about acing the interview. It can also help you figure out potential career paths and opportunities for advancement within genealogy.
That's right. The career guide we've been talking about outlines all sorts of specializations within genealogy, like DNA analysis, forensic genealogy, or historical research. RoleCatcher's AI can help you explore these different paths, understand the skills and qualifications you need, and even connect you with relevant job postings.
It's like having a career counselor that's just for you, guiding you towards the most fulfilling and rewarding path.
Right.
And let's not forget about networking. RoleCatcher's platform lets you connect with other genealogists, share ideas, and learn from each other's experiences.
It's a whole community of people who are passionate about genealogy, all supporting each other's professional growth.
So now let's switch gears a bit and talk about another important part of interview prep, understanding the work environment and industry trends.
Okay.
The career guide gives us some great insights here.
It does.
First, let's think about the typical work environment for a genealogist. As we mentioned before, it can vary a lot. Some genealogists work in traditional places, like libraries, archives, or historical societies. Others work remotely from home, and some even travel a lot for research or to meet with clients.
And technology is changing how genealogists work, making it easier to access records, collaborate with colleagues, and connect with clients. Online databases, genealogy software, and DNA testing have opened up a lot of exciting possibilities.
It really is an exciting time to be a genealogist. But like any profession, it has its challenges. The career guide mentions that genealogists often work long hours, especially when they have tight deadlines or complex research projects.
And the emotional side of the work can be tough, especially when you're dealing with sensitive family histories or uncovering surprising truths about the past.
Right. It's important to be ready for those challenges and to figure out how to maintain a healthy work-life balance. But the industry itself seems to be doing well overall, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The demand for skilled genealogists is expected to grow a lot in the next decade, with new jobs opening up in government agencies, historical societies, libraries, and private research firms.
That's great news for anyone wanting to get into genealogy.
It is.
Okay, so let's get back to those interview questions. We've gone over some general ones, but now let's look at a few that are more specific to the field of genealogy.
Right.
A common question you might get is, describe your experience using different research methodologies. The career guide talks about several key methods that genealogists use, like analyzing public records, conducting oral history interviews, and using genetic genealogy techniques.
So be ready to explain your experience with these methods and give specific examples of how you've used them in your research.
For example, if they ask about analyzing public records, you could talk about a time when you used census data, land deeds, or probate records to trace a family line or solve a genealogical puzzle.
Right.
And if they ask about oral history interviews, you could describe a time when you interviewed an older family member to gather information about their ancestors or document their family stories.
And of course, if you have experience with genetic genealogy, be prepared to discuss how you've used DNA testing to confirm relationships, find unknown ancestors, or break through those genealogical brick walls. It's all about showing your expertise in different research areas.
Now, another important area to be prepared for is discussing the ethical side of genealogical research.
Right. The career guide emphasizes that genealogists have a responsibility to handle sensitive information, carefully respect the privacy of living people, and avoid spreading harmful stereotypes or biases.
So be prepared to talk about these ethical considerations and explain how you would handle a situation where you find sensitive or controversial information during your research.
For example, they might ask you how you would deal with finding evidence that an ancestor was involved in a crime or a family secret that could upset living descendants.
Your answers should show that you understand the ethical complexities of genealogy and that you're committed to acting responsibly and respectfully.
It's not just about having the technical skills, it's also about showing your integrity and sensitivity as a researcher.
Now, in addition to your technical skills and ethical awareness, don't forget to show your passion for genealogy. Employers want people who are genuinely excited about this work.
Right.
Let your passion shine through in your answers. Talk about what you love most about genealogy, what you find most rewarding, and your long-term goals.
And don't hesitate to share a personal story or two that shows your love for genealogy.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you could talk about an exciting discovery you made in your own family research or a time when you helped a client connect with their ancestry in a meaningful way.
Right, those personal stories can really make a difference and help you connect with the interviewer.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap things up and think about some thought-provoking questions about the future of genealogy, let's emphasize again how important it is to use RoleCatcher's AI.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI looks at the job description, figures out the key skills and qualifications the employer wants, and then helps you tailor your answers to highlight those specific areas. It's like having your own personal branding expert working behind the scenes to make you look your best.
And it can also give you personalized feedback on your answers.
Right.
It helps you refine your language structure, your responses effectively, and be ready for those follow-up questions.
It's like having a personal interview coach with you every step of the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're serious about a career in genealogy, RoleCatcher is a really valuable tool. So we've talked a lot about what genealogists do and how to prepare for those interview questions, but let's step back for a second and think about the bigger picture. What does the future hold for this field?
That's a great question. We've seen how much DNA testing has changed things in genealogy, connecting us to relatives we never knew about and letting us trace our family trees back further than we ever thought possible.
Right.
But what comes next?
I wonder if AI will play an even bigger role. Imagine AI analyzing historical records, maybe predicting family connections, or even creating those virtual representations of our ancestors, bringing the past to life in new ways.
It's mind-blowing when you think about the possibilities. As more records become digital, the chances for discovery just explode. We might even see genealogy become part of everyday life with personalized ancestry information right on our phones or even our smart home devices.
Wow, imagine having our family histories available, just like our favorite playlists. That would be amazing.
Right.
But even with all this technology, I think the heart of genealogy will always be about human connection, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's about those stories we uncover, the connections we make with our ancestors, and that feeling of belonging we get from understanding our place in history.
It's a journey of self-discovery.
It is.
It's not just about finding facts and figures, but about understanding who we really are.
Absolutely.
And speaking of journeys, remember that RoleCatcher can be your guide as you explore the world of genealogy.
Absolutely.
Their AI platform gives you feedback and career advice, and it connects you with a community of other people who love genealogy.
It's a fantastic resource for anyone who's serious about this field.
So if you're ready to dive into the world of genealogy, head over to RoleCatcher and explore all they have to offer. You'll be surprised by what you discover about yourself, your family, and your place in history.
Happy researching some.